Bună ziua, doamnelor și domnilor! Bine ați venit la o nouă ediție a emisiunii ZF, Investiții în România, realizată în parteneriat cu CEC Bank. Eu sunt Alex și care voi fi gazda dumneavoastră. Astăzi vom avea două discuții interesante din piața de energie. Vom discuta în prima parte a emisiunii cu Premier Energy, grupul care s-a listat la Bursa de Valori București în acest an și care este unul dintre cei mai mari jucători din piața de distribuție și furnizare de gaze din România și cel mai mare jucător din piața de distribuție și furnizare de energie din Republica Moldova. Vrem să vedem cum arată pentru ei piața locală și ce planuri au pentru anul următor. În a doua parte a emisiunii vom rămâne în discuția despre energie, dar cu mai multe fațete. Discutăm acolo cu compania românească de inginerie Datacore din Bistrița, care are inclusiv noi investiții în Bistrița, dar și planuri pe zona aceasta de inginerie care trec dincolo de zona de energie. Dar asta în a doua parte a emisiunii. În prima parte de discuția va avea loc în limba engleză și astăzi l-am alături de mine pe domnul Peter Stohr, membru în Consiliul de Administrație și director financiar la Premier Energy. Hello, Mr. Peter, how are you?
Hello, thank you. I'm doing fine.
Thank you for being here with us, Premier Energy. You had quite a year, the listing on the local stock exchange and the continuous expansion. In the last decade or so, you've reached to be the third biggest distributor on the gas market in Romania and the fifth biggest supplier on this market, with a big portfolio for renewables, which we're talking about today. Let's see, how was the year 2024 from your perspective?
Well, we have continued to grow quite a bit. And just as an example, we have grown our customer count from about 1.1 million customers at the end of the year 2023 to approximately 2.3 million now, which makes us be the number 4 electricity supplier in Romania and the number 1 electricity supplier in Moldova. That 2.3 million customer count includes our entire business, so it includes customers in Moldova as well as in Romania.
But this is sorry, I will stop you here and there to ask questions. So where this did growth came from? So from 1 million or so to 2 million, it's quite a bit. Where did the growth came from?
So the majority of the growth came from the acquisition of the former CES Vânzare business based out of Altenia. We have since renamed the business to Premier Energy Furnizare. And, that has fueled some of the growth. We've also had organic growth. So, we continue to add customers, both on the electricity side as well as on the natural gas side in both Moldova and Romania. So a combination of organic growth and this acquisition.
How many customers do you have on the electricity side in Romania?
It's about 1.3 million, primarily household and small business customers.
And how do you see the market in the next year after March 2025, when the so-called re-liberalization of the market will take place in Romania?
It's a very good question. I don't know. We are prepared for anything, but I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not able to say what will happen, as many of the regulatory things that are in place today, they are set to expire in March, at the end of March, but I don't know. I really don't have a view there. What we can do in our case is, we have a diversified business. And so our supply, which I just discussed, is one part of the business. We have more than tripled our renewable production capacity. So, we are, and that's something that we are continuing to grow in. It is something that is one of the key reasons we did the IPO. And so, we will continue to invest in our production assets so that we are able to, cope with and continue to grow no matter what the regulatory environment will be. And, in the end, the regulatory environment has always been equitable by the authorities, and I'm sure they'll make the right decision for the Romanian people. And I'm sure it will be equitable, just like it always has been. So, my biggest job is just to be ready for it.
But are you sending offers for clients after March 2025?
Not many, no. We have done some offers with some business customers, but that's relatively small. I think the whole market really is waiting to see not only what happens with the regulatory environment, but also what happens to energy prices. There's been a lot of volatility, especially this year, in balancing costs, in the day-ahead market costs. I think in our earnings release last week, we showed the market, the people, some of these variances, and they're much higher than they've been historically. And so, I think a lot of the players on the market are also seeing, hey, where do energy prices, where do these day-ahead market prices, where do the balancing costs go in terms of giving people pricing after March?
Yeah, we're having a lot of big producers in Romania, especially factories, industrial consumers, who are telling us that they can't receive offers for next year, for April, May or so, and they can't make a real business plan for the next year. How do you see the situation?
I mean, I feel for them because it's not easy, for us as one of the largest suppliers. It's also very difficult. I mean, you have a situation where balancing costs for electricity were 5 times higher than previous year in June. They continue to be elevated in the third quarter. We showed this in our report. They were more than double from the year before. If you look at the day-ahead market pricing in the evening hours in the summertime, that price was about double from it was a year ago during the third quarter. And so we're seeing a lot of volatility. And on average, the price in the afternoon, the market price on the day-ahead market in Romania during the third quarter, in the afternoon hours, when you did have quite a bit of solar production, the average price was somewhere 60, 65, 70 euros per megawatt. But then it shot up to over 200 euros, I mean, close to 300 euros per megawatt in the evening hours. So you have a huge variance in the market, in the day-ahead market price of electricity. And that kind of volatility we have not seen before. And, it was the reasons for that we can get into detail on, but it's that kind of volatility that makes it really hard for a supplier to, be able to provide an offer to someone 6 months down the road, which would be for electricity that is to be delivered 9 months or a year from now. So yeah, it's a tough environment in this sense.
Yeah, and we've seen, as you've said, the energy prices to 200 euros, over 200 euros, and Romania at different points throughout this year had one of the biggest, if not the biggest, price of energy in Europe. And this is a pressure for the industrial consumers I was talking about earlier. Okay, so if we look at this big picture, we see this big volatility, prices, high prices for the equilibration of the market. How can we, what are the missing links or the missing pieces of the puzzle in the Romanian energy system so we can lower this volatility for the next year and for the years to come? Because from now to invest for the next year, it's a bit unsure.
Yeah. What I would say, just to follow up on, I think you need to look at, electricity prices every 15 minutes, the price is a little bit different, right? But it's one of those things where I think if you look overall, the prices were probably a bit more elevated this year, especially in the second and then the third quarter, in all of Southeastern Europe. So I don't think this is just a Romanian issue. I think, you'd find something very similar going on in the neighboring countries of Bulgaria and Greece. And some of that is driven by, hydroelectric, lower production than last year. Even our own wind production has been lower than last year by more than 10%. And you add to that the fact that, Ukraine, who used to be a net exporter of electricity, so it allowed the Romanian system to import some of that electricity, especially in peak times. They're not producing any excess electricity like they used to because of some of the bombardment. So that has also had an impact. So there's a lot of kind of, reasons for the bigger volatility, the higher prices, but I don't think it's just a Romanian issue. I think it's really a Southeastern Europe issue. And I think all of Europe is actually dealing with higher volatility. Now, what can we do about it? Is I think you need players such as us, and we will play our small part in this, is to invest continue to invest in production plants. So we are continuing to invest in electricity production from on the solar side, on the wind side. We also have a gas to power plant. These are very important for balancing capabilities. And you're seeing more and more the market have some battery capacities. And I know that there was a recent announcement about some more grants given to potential producers to go ahead and erect some more battery plants. And I think that's very important. That's what we can do. And us as one of the players in the market, we will do our share to invest in the production, because at the end of the day, that's how you can lower prices, is to have multiple producers produce the electricity and have the capability to balance the electricity. For example, in the summertime, in the evening, you can use the solar plants to generate the electricity, store some of it from the afternoon, and then feed it into the system in the evening to lower the prices in the evening. But that is not something we will be able to do over the next, few months. That is a, multiple year kind of an endeavor. And again, we will play our fair share in that.
Okay, maybe the nuclear energy projects will play a role too, because there is another capacity you can rely on to bring equilibrium to the market. So before we reach to the renewables discussion, you said you have one gas to power plant. Do you plan to develop or acquire more in the next period or the next years in Romania?
We will look into it. I cannot promise something, but we have a current plant. It is a little over 13 megawatts. We plan on increasing the capacity of that plant to something around 19 megawatts over the next few months. So we are working on that, and we have publicly mentioned that. And we are looking at opportunities to potentially develop some other plants, yes. But nothing that's concrete that I can discuss. But it is one of the potential developments or acquisitions. Yes, this would be one area that we are looking at, along with batteries, along with continued investments into wind and solar projects. And I would just add that our two largest solar developments that we are currently working on, one of them is being constructed as we speak. The other one, we've actually already started doing some small construction, some of the civil works. There will be a combination of solar with batteries. So it's these kinds of plans that will help with some of the volatility that we mentioned earlier.
Okay, since 2013, Premier Energy grew in Romania through acquisitions, not only in Romania, but grew in Romania through acquisitions. And the last ones we've seen, the biggest one is CEZ Vânzare, as you've said, and Alive Capital was another one. There we have a segment of services for energy companies. I think this is quite important for you as well. What are you looking? Yes. What are you looking on further on the M&A side in the Romanian market?
So we are looking at production assets. So, assets that are producing electricity today, especially from renewable sources. So solar plants, wind parks. We did make an acquisition of an 80 megawatt wind park. It actually closed at the end of July. Pretty significant for us. It basically doubled our wind production capacity. If you look at our electricity production capacity, we have actually more than tripled the capacity from the end of December until today. And we continue to look at opportunities there, and we continue to develop assets. Some of them are our own developments. Some of them are developments we've acquired that we are now looking to construct. So that will continue to be a big focus for our business, because at the end of the day, we believe you need to be vertically integrated to meet the challenges of tomorrow and to meet the challenges of these volatile environments. And the best way to do that is to have your own production, to have your own management, which Alive Capital does a great job for, not just for our own plants, but also for many other third-party plants. Do it very efficiently. Their balancing capabilities are, the best in class. So it's a very talented team of engineers that does a phenomenal job of, kind of meeting the needs of the future. Because that's really where at the cutting edge of this, not just for Romania, but for Europe, is to be able to, manage and balance the renewable sources appropriately. And they do that very well. And then we have the end customers.
Okay.
like I mentioned, and so we're able to sort of have the whole value chain, and in the end able to pass on all of the savings that we have throughout the value chain to our customers.
Let's talk about production. I want to understand how many megawatts are you having connected to the network producing right now? How many megawatts are in construction, and how many are on projects that are being developed or ready to build?
So in Romania, we currently have 167 megawatts of production that is producing electricity as we speak. We then have another 15 megawatts of solar in the Republic of Moldova. So altogether, it's 182 megawatts that is producing electricity today. We then have developments, which in total are about 350 megawatts. Now, some of those developments we have with partners. So if you wanted to kind of do our share of that, it would be a little bit under 200 megawatts. But these are developments that we are either constructing today, or we plan on starting to construct within the next year.
Okay.
And it includes a pretty sizable 99 megawatt wind park development, which we are very close to having be ready to build and having signed the key supplier contracts on. We're actually in the middle of negotiating those as we speak.
Okay, and the 160 megawatts producing right now in Romania, how are they? Which is wind, which is solar? What can you tell us?
So most of that, so out of the 167, 13 megawatts is the gas to power balancing plant, and then 152 megawatts, or 154 megawatts then is primarily wind. We have about 8 megawatts solar, the rest of it is wind. So our wind is 146 megawatts currently.
Okay.
But we do have some developments on the solar side that will very quickly grow that solar number.
So by the end of next year, how will this picture look?
So by the end of next year, I think the 100 megawatt, or 99 technically, megawatt wind plant will be in construction. So it will not be operational yet. It just, for people to understand, it takes multiple years to get to a ready to build situation. And then when you're ready to build, it actually takes another 2 years to build the wind parks. In our case, we hope to do it in about 18, 20 months. But there is a long time to get the actual plants constructed. So I think we will be, we've always said that we want to be sort of, I think this number in the next 2 years, including the wind development, we will more than double the capacity of production. We may even triple it, depending on how you want to look at some of the plants that are in construction over the next couple of years. And so by next year, it's hard to say. There'll be a lot of stuff in construction, I think, at the end of next year. But we'll be well on our way to doubling that capacity.
Besides your,
I think we'll actually probably be on our way to almost tripling that capacity.
Okay. Besides your own business, your own portfolio on the renewables, how do you see the renewable market in Romania? We, as a journalist, at least, we've writing for the last couple of years about the fact that we have a lot of projects. The pipeline looks like this: a lot of projects being developed in the early stages, and then very, very few projects coming to be connected to the grid to really participate in the national energy system. How do you see this situation, or the renewable energy market as a whole in Romania?
Yeah, and I would say Romania is very similar to other countries. But yeah, there's a lot of potential projects, but a lot of them will never get built. And that's not a Romanian thing; that's a European thing. So there's a lot of things that have to go right. There's a lot of licenses, a lot of analysis that needs to happen. It's not always very sunny in certain areas of the country, although Romania is blessed with a lot of natural resources, including a lot of sunny days, especially in the southern part of the country. And then we do have a few wind areas, such as the Dobroja area, which are excellent for wind. I think there's many countries in Europe that would love to have that kind of wind. And so, yeah, there will be projects that will be built, but yeah, it's going to be a smaller number than all of the different plants that are out there. But that's the case in every market. So, I think that you do have players such as us who are, have the financial capability to construct these, who are serious players that will construct a number of these plants. And I know we have peers that will do the same as well. So yeah, you're right. Not everything will get built, but a lot of things will get built. And I think the authorities are, working with the producers such as us to make sure that some of these plants are built for the benefit of the Romanian people.
You said that the Romanian market is similar with other markets. So is my understanding that Romanian is not more speculative market at this point than other markets?
I mean, of course, every market's a little bit different, but you have a lot of speculation in every market. It just so happens that Romania actually does have some renewable production assets being built. There's many countries where that kind of current building is not as robust as it is here. So I would say Romania is actually one of the better countries in Europe where there is developments that are being done, that are being built. But just like in many other sectors, you always have potential to develop this and this and that, and not all of it gets developed, but that doesn't mean that there will not be some very good developments being built in Romania. So actually, I think Romania is probably better than many other countries in terms of plants actually being built.
Okay, how big is your investment budget for the next year? I think it's hard for me to ask this question because I know that some projects are you're beginning them at some point, you're investing at some point more, and at some point less. But if we're trying to do a number, how big is the investment budget for this and the next year, or for the next year alone?
So I think if we do it on a consolidated basis, the investment budget is approaching 200 million euros. And that includes our wind plant. It also includes our investments into the distribution networks. And we continue to grow our distribution footprint in natural gas here in Romania and in electricity in the Republic of Moldova. And that the distribution capex alone this year will be more than 30 million euros. That's very important because you need the backbone. We can talk about renewables and there will be quite a bit of renewable growth in the Republic of Moldova, but you actually need the infrastructure for it. And so, there's investments there that I should also mention. And then on the renewables, yeah, it will be a sizable number. Again, some of it depends, when is the payment made for certain of these projects, but it's going to be probably, close to 200 million. And we just had our IPO, which allowed us to raise about 90 million euros of equity. So, and a lot of these projects you can use some debt financing on. So we're going to deploy that capital just like we promised to the investors in what we believe are very attractive investment opportunities to invest in the production assets. And we will also look at investing into some balancing assets, whether that's the gas to power or batteries. And you're seeing us do that with these two solar projects that have the batteries with them.
I have a couple more questions. So just to clarify, 200 million just for the next year, or this or next year?
Yeah, for the next year about, it may be a little bit more than that, depending on the timing of certain payments on, for example, this big wind project. I mean, the wind project alone is a 140 million euro total spend for about 100 megawatts of wind. So that alone will, is a big sizable investment. Then we have two of our other solar plants that are also going to be very sizable. So, and that doesn't include our distribution. So with our distribution businesses, we're well over 200 or so.
How much have you paid for CEZ Vânzare?
It was publicly disclosed that it was a little over 20 million euros.
And how did you finance the acquisition?
Well, I mean, this was technically before the IPO, so we had cash on hand to pay for the acquisition. We are a business over the years. You mentioned the growth that we've had. We basically grew the business from about 13 million euros of revenue back in 2012 to what will this year be something well north of 1 billion euros of revenue. And what we've done is we reinvested all of our profits. And so we had, cash on hand that we used to acquire all of our assets to this date, and it included the CEZ Vânzare acquisition.
Why have you accelerated your growth in Romania in the recent years? You've been here, as I said, since more than a decade. Why now?
Well, I think it started sooner. I mean, the growth, again, we didn't go from 13 million to over 1 billion overnight. I mean, it really, if you look at it, actually, on a percentage basis, the growth was higher in 2015, 2016, 17 than it is now. It just so happens that some of the larger acquisitions have been done recently. But as we've grown, we were able to, we also had more capability. We've grown the team, and we were able to do larger acquisitions. So I don't think it's a thing of now. I think it just became, now was the right time to do the IPO, we believe, because we just reached a size where we thought it was the right thing to do the IPO. We also saw this opportunity on the production assets, combined with the supply business that was growing and grew very much with the acquisition of CEZ Vânzare. So, a lot of things came together, but it's not like we made a decision 3 years ago to invest in Romania. We made a decision 12, 13 years ago to invest in Romania.
How do you find the local stock market? I've heard you talk about it in our specialized conference on the capital markets, ZF capital markets. But now you're not there. I'm curious, how is the stock market for you versus your expectations before listing?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think we had sort of expectations. I mean, I think the market is, for the size of the country, it's very healthy. Would it be nicer to have more companies join the market? Certainly. And I think, that the stock exchange is very inviting, and it'd be nice to have some companies that are outside of the energy sector. I mean, I hear that from other investors. They're saying, hey, it's a little bit concentrated in the energy sector. Some of that is reflected of the fact that Romania is an energy hub for the region. But overall, I think it's been as we expected. I was a little bit surprised. I think there's a stronger retail following for the investors than I had anticipated. So that was nice to see, and I think it's very healthy for an economy such as Romania's economy, which is very quickly emerging, and it's coming on par with other economies in Europe, in Western Europe, and it's nice to see the individual investors participate in the stock market. I think that's very healthy, and again, is a testament to the development of Romania as a country and as an economy. So that was maybe one thing that was surprising, but otherwise, the IPO process itself was a lot of hard work, many late nights. We had a lot of good help from our underwriting banks. From our auditors, Ernst & Young. They did a phenomenal job getting the accounts. They worked really hard, making sure everything else was audited the right way. And our lawyers, Clifford Chance and Denton's, also did a lot of hard work. We had some technicalities where we're actually, the entity is a Cypriot entity that is publicly traded, so there were some technicalities there. But it all worked very smoothly and all came together very smoothly. But it was with a lot of hard work. But so, the whole process is sort of as we envisioned it. I'm very pleased to have all the kind of a diverse set of shareholders. And as we continue to grow, hopefully we can add some additional shareholders along the way.
Okay, thank you. The last question is a bit more specific, related to another topic. I don't think it's the first time you've been asked this, but let's go. Has Premier Energy acquired the project companies called Solar Energy Production and Development Power Solar Energy in Romania?
Listen, we don't really disclose kind of who we purchase things from. We purchased solar plants, and we purchased wind plants from numerous individuals, from corporations. If we look historically, we've actually acquired wind plants from a major wind producer in Europe. We acquired a recent asset from and we actually publicly disclosed it just because it's big. It was Iberdrola, right? One of the largest renewable players in all of the world. And they were exiting the Romanian market, so we acquired their wind park. But regarding some of our smaller plants, we don't really disclose who we deal with. It's a bit of a irrelevant question, because for us it's very important. Hey, what can this plant do in terms of contributing to our production plans.
I know, but
and so-
sorry to interrupt you, but the question, I know these are two small projects in comparison with the portfolio of Premier Energy, but I'm asking this because these two companies won finance from the PNRR, from the European fund, from the Romanian fund. So we are curious if we acquired them or not.
Well, we have not closed on anything yet, and
Okay.
any actual acquisition, any sort of an agreement is at the moment still confidential. So
Okay.
technically, we have not acquired any of the companies that you're mentioning.
Okay, now we're interested to follow this financing mechanism like PNRR and to see the projects. As I've said, we want to see more projects connected to the grid and really contributing to the energy market in Romania.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing. And, I don't always, again, we're less concerned about with the, some assets we develop on our own, some assets we develop with others. At the end of the day, for us, it's about, hey, can we erect or construct these projects or acquire the production plants at a valuation at a total cost that delivers value to the shareholders and creates more production sources for the Romanian people.
Okay, Mr. Stohr, thank you for your answers and for your presence here la ZF Investiții în România. Good luck with developing Premier Energy further.
Alex, thank you very much.
Thank you. Aceasta a fost prima parte a emisiunii de astăzi. O discuție foarte interesantă cu Premier Energy, unul dintre cei mai mari jucători din piața de energie. Se profilează din ce în ce mai important, mai ales după achiziția CEZ-vânzare. Vedem această dezvoltare. Am văzut și IPO-ul lor la Bursa de Valori București. A dezghețat așa piața de IPO-uri mari după 5 ani. Urmărim continuare această poveste. După o scurtă pauză discutăm cu compania antreprenorială Datacor din Bistrița. Vrem să vedem ce planuri de dezvoltare mai au acolo. Vă aștept.